Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be reacting to...
Why Spain is moving left on immigration while Europe moves right. Spain is moving left? I thought Spain has a problem.
What do you mean?
Remember we saw that in
What
Barcelona,
is left on
people,
immigration then? Is
well,
like more...
accepting
more...
immigrants.
Mm.
Generally speaking, the left wants to accept, right wants to, close the border. Let's see.
This video is brought to you by Ground News. As you might have noticed, most European countries are shifting to the right on immigration, with anti-immigration right-wing parties surging in the polls across the continent. However, one conspicuous exception is Spain, where immigration rates have remained high, and Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez has recently introduced measures to make it easier for immigrants to settle in Spain, in the hope that they'll fill labour shortages and boost the economy. So in this video, we're going to take a look at Spain's...
But they have a housing problem. So where the fuck they gonna house these
immigrants?
No,
but the immigrants they're looking for is not like the ones fleeing from trauma. They want the ones...
that. I understand, but still, like, if you already don't have citizens where to live, or like they can't afford places to live, where is the other immigrants gonna live?
I think this is more like pricing out locals.
So they want immigrants to price out locals?
I don't know. It looks like it.
I'm confused.
That's what it looks like to me.
Let's see.
Pro-migrant policy, whether it's been successful in propping up the economy, and what could happen next. If you're interested in the political alliances and groupings that all of the work in the link in the description from 40 million, start with some context. Between 1999 and 2010, Spain's population jumped from 40 million to 47 million, as thousands of migrants from all over the world arrived in unprecedented numbers in search of employment.
But that's not a lot of increase in population, I feel like.
In a span of what? How many
From
years?
1990 to 2010? So in 20 years, only 7 million? That's not a big increase. I don't feel like that's noteworthy at all.
Honestly, I never met anyone from Spain.
From Spain, I have in college. From Spain, yeah. That's it, just in college.
In 1999, migrants made up 2% of Spain's population.
And I don't know any like first generation born in the States, but parents are from Spain.
Well, yeah, here in Miami's Latin America. I think if
Yeah.
it was like...
But then where would typically you would think for Spain an easy transition would be to go to Miami.
You're right. I guess you don't really ask people. You kind of assume when somebody speaks Spanish, you assume
No.
No, you ask them?
Yeah,
I don't be asking
you don't even have to ask. They let you know.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I guess would make sense, for Spanish people to go to Miami because speak Spanish. But, logistically, I feel like New York is close, up north. I don't know.
This had soared to 12% by 2009, which is equivalent in size to that of Spain's 3 largest cities combined, Madrid, Barcelona, and Valencia. Today, Spain has one of Europe's highest shares of foreign-born nationals, and it's been relatively easy for these migrants to become part of Spanish.
Okay, that's a little...
One of Europe's highest shares of foreign...
That's a little scandalous statements. Oh, one of the highest, which is... compared, like, it's smack in the middle almost. And even if it's higher than like what Estonia, I think, Netherlands, SI, what the fuck is SI? Iceland?
SI?
I don't know. France, Denmark. Yeah, it's almost the same. Like, that's a scandalous statement to make. Like, you see Luxembourg. Okay, that's significant difference. But come on.
Born nationals, and it's been relatively easy for these migrants to become part of Spanish society for at least 2 reasons. First, successive governments put in a lot of effort to naturalize as many migrants as possible, implementing around 6 regularization campaigns between
1986 maybe Switzerland? Like Swiss?
1986 and 2002, which naturalized some 1.2 million people. And second, Spanish public sentiment to immigration is markedly friendlier than basically any other European country.
But I've seen they squirt like water guns.
That's what I don't...
I'm confused.
I'm so confused. We literally saw a video where Spanish people don't want people coming to their country.
Yeah.
Just like a couple months ago. Now they're saying is, one of the... Okay, well, this is 2017.
Oh, okay.
So
what is it now?
I feel like this video is just trying to create a narrative.
Let me
But
see.
look, Lithuania is next to Spain. Lithuania has low negative perception of immigration. But that's again
Oh.
back in 2017. I think that has shifted right now too. You know,
So what is the perception now in Lithuania?
no, I don't know, but no, with all the refugees, I feel like in a lot of Europe, the perception shifted.
Ah.
But why is Spain so migrant friendly? Well, the first and most important reason is that a plurality of migrants
I don't know if they like that. They use stats from almost a decade ago. Like who?
Yeah,
That,
no, these stats are out of
the
date.
perception has changed so much.
2017, I'm a changed person.
Yeah, that's pre-COVID, pre-everything.
Mhm.
That's no.
over 4 million of them are
Honestly, at this point, you cannot use stats pre-COVID, period, for nothing.
Mm-mm.
COVID changed the world so
Everything.
much that anything pre-COVID is invalid.
Hispanics from Latin America, so they speak the same language and have very similar cultures, making integration pretty seamless. Second, while Spain has well-functioning public services, it doesn't offer much in the way of direct cash benefits or social housing, which means migrants rarely compete with natives for benefits in the same way they do in other European countries. Third, there's some data to suggest that Spanish media generally portrays migrants more sympathetically than its European counterparts. The UN noted in a 2015 report that, unlike in many other European countries, reporting in Spain's big three newspapers was broadly sympathetic to migrants' plight. Fourth and finally, the legacy of Franco's dictatorship
How
made
is
many
this
Spaniards
video?
Today,
It's not possible. I think this
skeptical
is.
of nationalism,
news?
which has
Old
limited
video.
far-right and therefore anti-immigrant sentiment
I
in
wanna
mainstream
see the
politics.
comments.
This is one of the reasons that Vox have struggled to break through, and Spanish politics has been more or less dominated by two establishment parties, Sanchez's Socialist Workers' Party and the People's Party. Anyways, ever since taking over in 2018, Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez has maintained a pro-migrant policy as an economic growth strategy, and argued that migrant workers are needed to offset Spain's demographic crisis. For context, Spain's birth rate fell to 1.19 babies per woman last year, the lowest since records began in 1941, and without new migrants, the population is
I mean, I get it though. Like, people don't have where to live, so what? How are you gonna bring a baby to where are you gonna live on the street?
expected to age dramatically and shrink by over a third in the next 70 years. So, to address this, Spain has put real political capital into integrating migrants into Spain's labour market via three main mechanisms. First, by large naturalization campaigns, legalising hundreds of thousands of undocumented migrants living in Spain, with the goal of getting these migrants to work, pay taxes, and support the country's welfare system. For instance,
That's not a bad idea to.
Yeah, but so what are the locals are going to do?
Well, because the thing is, people already live there.
Okay.
So I think the idea is not to allow more immigrants, but the people that are already here illegally, let them be legal. They lived there for a decade illegally. Let them be legal. Let them pay taxes. Let them contribute to society instead of living in the shadows. Like I feel like that could be done here too, honestly, because the people, instead of sending them back, they're already here for decades. Just let them contribute. It's like whatever. What's done is done. Close the border, maybe if you want to close the border, okay, make it harder. But for those that are already here, come on.
according to Spain's National Statistics Institute, Spain authorised around 458,000 immigrants last year, and in November, the government announced that, over the next 3 years, it would give work permits and legal papers to the 900,000 or so foreigners currently living in Spain illegally. Second, the government has tried to make legal economic migration easier, especially for African migrants. Last summer, Sanchez signed circular migration agreements with Gambia and Mauritania, on top of a previous one with Senegal, which lets workers from these countries come to Spain for short periods to work and then go back home. Finally, the government has made it easier for foreign students to get work visas. For example, new labour reforms have meant that foreign students can now more easily
if that's what the policies that he's implementing, that's what must be going on, at least on the government side of things.
The temporary work idea is not necessarily a bad one, because I feel like a lot of people, they don't necessarily want to leave home, but they leave home for better employment opportunities. So like, for example, she said Gambia and Mauritius, I think. So if people from Gambia, they go to Spain, they work hard for 3 months, they make money, and then go back to Gambia and have a little saved up, so stay there for another 3 months, live off that saved up money, and then come back, or like whatever, something like that. That's not a bad idea. But I think a lot of people would enjoy going back home eventually.
Their skills, especially in tech and other sectors where there's a shortage of workers. Also, the duration of some visas have been extended. The job seeker visa, for example, has been increased from 3 months to a year. Temporary work permits have also been extended from 2 years to 4 years. As a result, most of Spain's population growth since the pandemic has come from immigration, and most migrants have apparently been well integrated into the labour market, with unemployment levels at their lowest since 2008, although still very high by European standards. Since 2022, around 45% of all jobs created have been filled by around 500,000 new migrant workers, particularly from South American countries. Traditionally, migrants played a key role in filling lower wage jobs in sectors like construction, retail, transport, and hospitality. However, this trend has shown signs of tapering off, and aside from the hospitality industry, where Spain continues to depend on migrant labour, migrant job growth has been most evident in Spain's booming technology and science sectors, which more than doubled in size between 2018 and 2023. This has in turn propped up Spain's economy, which grew by 3.2% last year, better than both the Eurozone and the EU
Wow,
average.
good for
In
them.
fact, Spain's GDP growth has consistently outperformed the EU average, and even beat the US last year. What's more, it looks set to pull
Well, look at Lithuania though. I'll beat Spain. I like that.
even further ahead in the coming year. The European Commission forecasts that the Spanish economy will grow by 2.3% in 2025 and then 2.1% in 2026, again outstripping both the EU and other large European economies. A tighter labour market has in turn given way to relatively strong wage growth, with wages currently growing at about 4% annually.
Nice.
Now, of course, this economic growth isn't being solely driven by migration. The recent rebound in tourism, which accounts for an estimated 13% of GDP, has definitely helped. And unlike other big European economies, Spain currently enjoys low energy costs as a result of its extensive renewables network and impressive LNG capacity, which has helped keep inflation down and supported Spain's manufacturing sector. Still, at least according to the Bank of Spain, foreign workers have been the
They
most
don't have
significant
elections
contributors to
coming
economic
anytime
growth.
soon. It seems like he's doing a good job.
It's very shocking to me because I swear I remember seeing people are not happy about this. So we'll see the comments. Maybe I don't know what I'm missing here.
In recent years. And looking at the
'Cause
average GDP per
I agree. Based on this video, it seems like he's doing a great job. Spain is doing great.
capita growth annually, the Bank of Spain estimates that foreign workers contributed between 0.4% and 0.7% to the average 2.9% annual increase between 2022 and 2024. Again, this isn't to say that everything's rosy. Most notably, increased immigration, combined with an uptick in tourism, has put real pressure on Spain's housing market, with rents rising by 80% over the past
Right,
decade,
and that's what
and
we
the median
saw.
tenant now spending about 40% of their income on housing costs, compared with an EU average of 27%. These tensions could put political
wow.
pressure on Sanchez's pro-migrant policies, especially if housing scarcity makes voters see immigration as a zero-sum issue. If you want to know more about this topic, there's plenty of
Wow.
other...
Yeah, that's what we saw. We saw
Yeah.
that there's an housing crisis.
Because I don't think maybe the issue is the immigrants. It's just that people don't have places to live.
Which that means developers need to make more houses. What's going on? I think the fact that they're from Latin America really helps public perception. I know Spanish who are happy about Latin migration as they're essentially pretty similar, who are unhappy about other migration like North African migration as they argue different values and more segregated. I can see the point.
Yeah.
Same language, probably similar cultures, same religion, whereas North African could be Muslim versus Christians. Religion differences, language obviously is different. I can see it. People from Spanish ex-colonies like Latin America speaks the same language, listen to the same music, same religion, and the government doesn't have to invest on them much because they integrate perfectly. Spain has a gold mine with immigration. People from Argentina, Mexico, Colombia, Cuba, and the Philippines. Oh, the Philippines too are fully integrated in Spanish society and work hard. Huh. That's interesting. Yeah, I mean the same language does help for sure. That's obvious. That's a given. Oh,
Guys, of course, let us know your thoughts. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Join the Discord. And as always, share as much kindness as possible.